Imagine a world where the sky is filled with giant shadows, where the sound of trumpets echoes through the clouds, and enormous creatures, with swaying trunks and ears like sails, cross the horizon. What if elephants, these land colossi, had learned to fly? It's not just a crazy idea. It's a door to rethinking history, nature, and even our own imagination. What would life be like on a planet where elephants defied gravity? Today, we're going to dive into an alternate timeline, full of epic battles, transformed cultures, and a world straight out of a dream. Get ready for a journey that will make you question what's possible. To begin, let's go back millions of years to the time of the first mammals. In our reality, elephants evolved as terrestrial giants with robust legs and heavy bodies, perfect for dominating savannas and forests. But in this alternate world, something changed. Perhaps a genetic mutation, perhaps unique environmental pressure. During the Eocene, about 50 million years ago, the ancestors of elephants began to develop internal air sacs, like those of certain flying dinosaurs. These sacs, combined with larger, more muscular ears, gave proto-elephants the ability to glide short distances. Over time, these creatures became lighter, with hollow bones and muscles adapted to flap their ears like wings. By the Pliocene, flying elephants were a reality, soaring through the skies of Africa and Asia. Have you ever stopped to imagine what it would be like to see a flying elephant? Think of a herd slowly ascending, their trunks pointing into the wind, their ears flapping powerfully, kicking up dust and leaves. The sound would be deafening, a low rumble mixed with the hum of ears cutting through the air. These elephants wouldn't be as agile as birds, but their brute strength would make them masters of long-distance flight, migrating thousands of kilometers without touching the ground. The savannas, which once limited their movements, would now be just a starting point. They could cross oceans, land on remote islands, and even colonize distant continents like Australia or the Americas. But what does this mean for humans? Let's fast forward to the dawn of civilization, about 10,000 years ago. In our history, humans domesticated horses, oxen, and camels, shaping transportation, agriculture, and warfare. In a world with flying elephants, everything changes. Nomadic tribes in Africa and Asia, who in our reality hunted or fled from elephants, learned to coexist with them. Imagine a village on the Serengeti Plains where children grow up riding flying elephant calves, guiding them like giant kites. These peoples developed special harnesses made of leather and vines to ride adult elephants, which could carry entire families or tons of supplies through the air. Now, think about war. In our history, elephants were used as living tanks, as in Hannibal's campaigns against Rome. But flying elephants? They will be devastating weapons. In the 3rd millennium BCE, the first city-states of Mesopotamia already had airborne elephant squadrons. Imagine the army of Uru, with hundreds of elephants diving from the sky, raining spears and stones upon terrified enemies. Their trunks, so useful for manipulating objects, also served to carry primitive weapons, such as giant bows wielded in mid-flight. Fortified cities, which in our reality resisted sieges, were useless against aerial attacks. Warfare became three-dimensional, and whoever dominated the elephants dominated the world. But not everything was destruction. Flying elephants also shaped culture and religion. In South Asia, where Ganesha was already a god associated with elephants, temples were built on mountaintops, accessible only by flight. Priests rode sacred elephants, painted with vibrant dyes, to perform rituals in the clouds, believing they were closer to the gods. In Africa, flying elephants inspired myths about celestial spirits, and shamans used their feathers, yes, feathers, because some species evolved light plumage to aid in flight, in healing ceremonies. Even art changed. Cave paintings show flying herds crossing starry skies, capturing the imagination of ancient peoples. In the economy, flying elephants revolutionized trade. In our history, the Silk Road connected Asia to Europe by land and sea. In this world, it's airborne. Caravans of elephants crossed deserts and mountains, carrying silk, spices, and precious metals in giant baskets strapped to their backs. A single elephant could transport the equivalent of a small ship, and its ability to land on any terrain eliminated the need for ports or roads. Cities like Alexandria and Chang'an became natural airports, with vast fields where elephants landed and took off, surrounded by vibrant markets. But like everything in history, the balance is fragile. By the 5th century CE, the overuse of flying elephants began to cause problems. In some regions, like Europe, where the colder climate made flights difficult, local peoples hunted elephants for their feathers and bones, driving entire species to extinction. In Asia, deforestation to create landing platforms devastated forests, altering ecosystems. And of course, there was the risk of rebellion. In 200 BCE, a revolt of elephant trainers in the Mauryan Empire in India almost overthrew the government. These trainers, who knew the elephant's secrets, used their mounts to attack palaces, showing that air power could be a double-edged sword. Moving into the Middle Ages, technology began to catch up with elephants. In the 10th century, the Chinese, who in our history invented gunpowder, developed primitive balloons inspired by flying elephants. These hot air balloons were cheaper and could carry larger loads, beginning to replace elephants on some trade routes. But elephants still had an advantage: their intelligence. Unlike balloons, they could be trained to avoid storms, recognize terrain, and even fight alone in battles. Medieval chronicles tell stories of hero elephants that saved villages from invaders, diving from the sky to crush entire armies. Now, imagine the Renaissance. While in our history, Leonardo da Vinci drew flying machines inspired by birds, in this world he studied elephants. His notebooks are filled with sketches of elephant wings, with notes on aerodynamics and air resistance. Leonardo even designed a flying carriage, a kind of glider pulled by elephants, which never left the drawing board but inspired future generations. Science, which in our reality took centuries to understand flight, advanced faster, thanks to these winged giants. And in the modern world, in the 19th century, the Industrial Revolution brought drastic changes. Steam engines and later internal combustion led to the advent of airships and airplanes. Flying elephants, though still used in rural areas, began to lose ground to faster, cheaper machines. But they never completely disappeared. In areas like sub-Saharan Africa and Southeast Asia, where infrastructure was limited, elephants remained the primary means of air transport until the 20th century. During World War I, some nations used elephants on reconnaissance missions, taking advantage of their ability to fly low and silently. Today, in this alternate world, flying elephants are a protected species, admired as a symbol of a glorious past. National parks, like the Serengeti Sky, allow tourists to observe herds flying freely, while scientists study their biology to inspire new technologies, like more efficient drones. But there's a melancholic side. Many species of flying elephants have gone extinct, and those that remain struggle to survive in a world dominated by machines. Annual festivals, like the Flight of Ganesha in India, celebrate their history, with decorated elephants crossing the skies to the applause of crowds. And now, pause for a moment. Think about it. A world where elephants fly isn't just a fantasy. It makes us question what we consider impossible. If nature had taken a different path, how would our history be? Perhaps the flight of elephants reminds us that imagination is as powerful as gravity, capable of taking us to places we never dreamed of. What do you think? What would it be like to live in such a world? Share your opinion in the comments, and if you enjoyed this journey, subscribe and hit the bell for more reality-defying stories. See you next time.